Hey guys, welcome back to Buddy RC, and we have got something today that I have been very excited about. There's always been a gap between the M4 Max and the M7, so now we have filled that gap. Just released from OMPHOBBY is the M5 and the M6. Today I have the M5 in the box. I want to show you guys what comes in the box. It's very similar to the M7, but I want to show you a couple cool features on this helicopter before we actually get it out and fly. So I'm going to be using the same setup basically as Jonas. Besides the tail servo is a little different. So Jonas actually posted his setup, but it's going to be rotor flight, of course, and ELRS. So I'm going to run it on my TX16. So I will show you guys what is in the box right now, and then we will come back after I build it, and we'll talk about a couple of the key features of the M5. So let's do it. So I also have my M4 here to kind of show size reference. This is just the regular 380 sized M4, not the M4 Max. But we chose for this guy right here, as you can see, there are 4 beautiful colors from OMPHOBBY for the M5 and the M6. We chose to do the Nebula Pink. This is one of my favorite colors that we've done. I am a huge fan of white canopies, especially when they have a bright color to contrast them. I really like the green as well. Yeah, I went with the Nebula Pink. All right, so now that we've talked about that, let's quit talking and let's get this box open. So it's just like the M7, has a beautiful, color, box, and it's got the orange color on the front and the orange on the sides. A little bit of, warnings, things like that on the side. So this is the kit only. This does not come with blades, motor, or anything. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be 2 different versions. There's going to be a kit version and then a kit with blade. So yeah, this, I mean, if this tells you anything, look at how bright this color is. I mean, it is crazy bright. Absolutely love it. It's like the same color as the M7 box, so it's pretty cool. So let's get the stuff out and then we'll talk about it. All right, so now we got everything laid out on the table here. One thing I have already noticed with this helicopter is most of these bags are actually resealable. When you're building a helicopter, that is such a nice feature to have. So we're going to pull out some of these and actually talk about them. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is my favorite feature of the M5. First of all, chamfered carbon side frames. So we want to do a lot of stuff like the M7, but unfortunately when you scale it down, it's not cost effective. So the first thing I wanted to do is chamfer the edges of the carbon. I've seen it in a lot of drone frames. I have never seen that on a helicopter, but just look how gorgeous that is. I mean, it just makes it, the finish just makes it a lot, just that much better. So yeah, we've got chamfered carbon on the bottom frames. Love it. Oh, and of course, it also has the OMP logo stamped into or milled into the carbon just like it did before. And again, it's chamfered only on one side, so it's definitely more of like the molded frame look. So that is a really cool key feature of the M5 and M6. Now the question that everybody asks, how many battery trays does it come with? Let's take a look. So I see 2 in here with 4 battery straps. So you heard it here first. 2 battery trays and 2 battery straps. And they look like good sized ones too. So for the M5, you're going to run a 6S 5000 normally. You're not going to run 12S on it. So that is a really nice thing to have. So you have 2 battery trays that come with it. So the swash plate itself is just a scaled down M7 swash plate. So it has, all the same features as the M7. The ratio is just about the same, but again, it's a small package, a small form factor. You still have the carbon on the top, just like the M7, and of course you have those beautiful little white, wings on there, which is really nice. But yeah, it's definitely just a scaled down M7, and I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, because the M7 flies so beautifully, and that swash plate has a lot to do with it. So definitely really cool that they scaled that down. All right, if you saw some of the teasers for the M5 done by OMPHOBBY, one thing that they featured around was this crazy looking piece. This right here is super cool looking. It's milled out of aluminum, of course, so it's super lightweight. But this is actually what your motor is going to, slide back and forth, just like the M7. So it's got some really crazy looking patterns on it. I love it. So this is pretty cool. You also get a serial number on the side, which I think is always really cool with helicopters. You can see, you know, where it's at. This is helicopter number 43, which is really cool because Ken Block is one of my favorite drivers, and his number is 43. Pretty neat. But anyway, regardless, this thing is absolutely a work of art. I mean, nobody can argue that. I mean, look at the like, you know, scales that it has right here. I mean, it just looks crazy. So basically what you're going to get is you're going to get three side plates basically that are going to stack up on each other. Instead of having to have like an actual slider built into the side of it, or into the molded frame, because we don't have molded frames on this, we actually use the built-up carbon. So there's 3 layers basically, and there's a slit down the center of them, so your battery tray slides into that. It's very reliable, and it's, you know, a super easy way of doing it. Brings down the parts count a lot more. You don't have to worry about, you know, a battery tray, you know, locking system other than on one side like the M7. So it's just that twist lock, and that's all that holds it in. So it actually slides in, and it's super easy. I'll show you guys more when we get the helicopter built. Let's talk about the ESC plate. So the ESC plate is already pre-drilled for all the major like ESCs that are out there, including the SunnySky 155. So I'm going to be using the SunnySky 155 ESC. Fits on here beautifully. So yeah, you'll just have to supply the hardware. And basically you'll be able to mount up your ESC right on this. And it has straps on it too, so you could always do just straps around it, especially for your wires to go underneath, things like that. So I'm going to be interested to see how that works out for the SunnySky ESC. Next, we're going to talk about the main gear. So there's one thing, if you notice, about the M5, if you watch, and the M6, and of course the M7, if you watch any videos of them, you notice that you can just barely hear the gear itself. So it's kind of interesting that, you know, these geared motors or geared helicopters are now just as quiet as these direct drive ones. So the really neat part is this one is going to be super silent, because if you look, this is actually all solid on top. So this is done to get rid of resonance when you're, you know, it's spooling up, things like that. So if you have like a hollow actual, you know, if you have a lot of holes in it, normally it'll make a lot of noise. If you watch videos of the M5 and the M6, you'll see it is absolutely silent. It is crazy. You hear nothing but the motor. You don't really hear any of the gear. So that's a pretty neat feature. But again, it's built up just like the M7. So you've got the, you know, the little pieces that go on either side of the gear, just like the M7 and the M4 and the M4 Max. So this would go under your motor on an M4 Max, and on an M7, this would go under your gear, just the same way. So it builds very similarly to those, which is really nice. When you're stepping up from a smaller helicopter and you want to go to a bigger one, it's really cool that they carry over some of those features from the smaller ones to make it less intimidating when you're building. All right, now on to the tail. Of course, you get that beautifully milled out piece of aluminum, just like the M7. It is a baby M7. Literally, that's the whole kind of concept of this, is it's a smaller M7. It's less intimidating to fly. It's a little cheaper on blades and, you know, parts when you crash it. But the best part about the M5, honestly, is it runs on one single battery versus 2. So that's my favorite part personally. So anyway, this is going to be, of course, the same thing as the M7. So it's got the little sad face right on it. If you see that, it's one of my favorite parts of the M5. Little sad face right there. Boop. Like the M7, you get a really thick belt. So there's no torque tube. This is all belt driven. Torque tubes are not as good, in my opinion, as belts. You guys can flack me in the comments, but I'm very much for belts because I like to go low, and sometimes the tail touches, and it's a lot more forgiving than a torque tube ever will be. The head is about the same way of the as the M7, so you still get your hash marks just like the M7, and a beautiful teardrop shape in it as I drop it and scratch it. Beautiful teardrop shape. Also, you get a little recessed place where your actual nut will go. So while you're tightening your blades, you don't have to hold it with pliers, and it gets really annoying. So that's a pretty neat feature. And of course, you have the same little hole right here, so you can do all of your oiling and things like that for your thrust bearings right through that. So no need to pull the whole thing off and do all your maintenance. You can do it right on the side of the helicopter. One of my favorite features. Maintenance is key with big helicopters, guys. I mean, your thrust bearings and things like that can wear out if they don't have any lubrication on them. This is kind of interesting, just to make it simpler for everybody, because I've heard some people put them in backwards. It's possible, it can happen, especially if you're a first-time builder. So this one actually has, if you look at it, motor overrun. That basically means where the motor will actually turn it is going this way. So it shows you exactly which way it shows you exactly which way the motor is going to be turning, and it shows you basically how to put it in. I've never seen this before. I started seeing it on the M7. Basically, you're now going to have a black main shaft for the M5 and M6. I think it looks sick. It makes it look sleeker. But also it's cool because you can actually see where it's heat treated. This is right where your one-way actually goes, so you don't have to worry about it rubbing through. Just like the M7 was annulled in a certain area. So with the coating that's on it, it's also 12 freaking millimeters. I mean, that's ridiculous. It is hollow, just like the last with the M7, but it's 12 millimeters. I mean, that's crazy. You're not going to have any issues, with that. And if you bend this, you're going to have a bad day because a lot more things are going to be broken. So we got the same kind of mounting system as the M7. So it's going to have those little rubber feet that go in, and also it comes with the little weight that can go on the bottom. But this is where you're going to mount your Nexus and your ELRS receiver right on the back. So that's, again, just a shrunken down M7 part. Tail grips have the dynamic weights. Again, hopefully you can see that, but the tail grips have the dynamic weights on them. It's like power steering basically for your servo. It just makes the tail feel a lot better. Especially running rotor flight, you want the tail to be super responsive because rotor flight absolutely loves fast tails. So that's awesome. If you looked at any of the teasers, the space-themed teasers, you probably saw these little guys here, these little flying saucers. I think they look awesome. I'm wearing a black t-shirt today. I messed up, sorry guys. But basically, or a black sweatshirt. Basically, this is what your servos are going to mount to. Hopefully you can see those. They look really cool. So they all mount in a row in threes. So the way the servos mount basically for the M4, all in a row like this, all by themselves, and they kind of float. That's all on the M5. So it's a pretty cool little feature taken over from the M4. You can get to every single servo. So if you have an arm that you need to take off, it's way easier to take off than on like the M2 or something like that, where it's kind of hidden. This is all out in the open, super easy to work on. That's what we wanted to really make sure that it is the M5 and M6 were easy to work on. Because again, this could be somebody's stepping stone from an M4 up. So that's the really cool part, is it's a lot less parts than the M7, but again, it flies relatively the same as the M7, so it's got that big presence in the air. We're gonna go build this thing. I don't know if I showed you guys this, but this is already it's silk screened. Okay, so it's silk screened up, pre-done, so you know which way is up. So don't install it like this. Don't be that guy. Install it like this. So anyway, I'm gonna go build this. Oh, the most important part, I didn't even show you guys. This is my favorite part of any helicopter, the canopy. Look at how bright this thing is. Look at that. The camera does not do it justice to this. I mean, it's like a highlighter. It is gorgeous. And it doesn't weigh a lot, so it's a very thin canopy like the M7, which is nice, but yeah, it is great looking. All the lines look amazing. You get these little 3D printed parts here to slide over top, just like the M7 over top of the over top of the gear. So you're not breaking it, but I love how flimsy this is. That's awesome. Super easy to pull on and off. And again, it's got the wraparound, just like the M7 did. And I love it. I love this color. I was wanting to go with the green, but honestly, I'm kind of sold on the pink now. So anyway, guys, we're going to go build this thing. And hopefully when you see it back here, I will have this thing built. So I'm going to snap my fingers, and hopefully, we'll have a built M5. All right, you ready? Woo! All right, so it looks like we got the M5 built here. Now that we have this all built, I wanted to show you guys my personal setup. So this is what I'm going to be running in mine. I've already got the ESC and motor installed, so I'm going to be running the 155 amp SunnySky ESC. The 300 amp does so well. I'm definitely looking forward to trying out the 155. Also, it has the 4518 1100 kV SunnySky motor in it. And that thing is a beast from what I've seen. All the videos of Jonas flying it, this thing has got unlimited power even with just 6S. I'm going to be running the OMPHOBBY 6S 5100 milliamp pack. So these are really good. I'm using them in my M7. We're also going to be running KST servos. The AF15 1810 servos are going to be for my cyclic. And then for my tail, I'm going to be running the MS565 servo. So that is going to be a really good combo right there. It already comes with the servo arms for the KSTs, so they just go right on. No issues there. And of course, we are going to be flying it on my TX16 with ELRS with the RP3H receiver. So also we're going to be running the Radio Master Nexus, which is for rotor flight. So I'm going to be running rotor flight 2 on this. I absolutely love it on my M7 and M4 and M4 Max. So of course I got to put it on the M5. So that is going to be really fun. And guys, like I said, I already have the ESC and motor installed, so I will show you guys a little bit more in detail on the next video, but I'd rather have all the servos installed and everything tuned, ready to go, looking good for you guys. So the blades that I actually have on the helicopter are going to be the Ultimate 560s. These are going to be what come with the kit with blade. I don't remember the tail size, I'll put that on the screen. But yeah, it's going to come with the blades for the helicopter on the kit with blades. So make sure you select that if that's what you want. So guys, we're going to go into more detail, like I said, in the next video. So definitely subscribe. Comment down below your guys' favorite feature of the M5. Mine is personally the carbon side frames that are chamfered. I think that's so cool. I've never seen a company do that before for an RC helicopter. It just makes the product look a lot better, and it kind of flows with the M7 having the molded carbon side frames. It's just something different. So guys, if you have any questions, like I said, post them down below, comments on it, whatever you want. Just let me know if you guys have any questions. So I will see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna go get this thing freaking built because I want to fly it bad because it looks so good. I'll see you guys later. Bye.